You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park.
WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
Hey, Detroit. You are listening to 88.1 FM if you're in Highland Park and Detroit. You are listening to 107.3 WVIE in the Virgin Islands, and all of my Facebook followers and viewers, wherever you're looking at this from around the country, thank you for tuning in. Before I get into tonight's show, I have to give my condolences to my dear friend, Monica Conyers. Monica, I have been in your shoes. As everyone knows, I'm a widow as well. And my husband did some great things, but not as notable as your husband did. And I just want you to know that I love you. I'm here for you. And you can call on me whenever you need. Your husband was a great man, and he has done great things, and may his legacy continue on through the people who he mentored here in the city of Detroit, your two wonderful sons, Carl and John, and so many more. I've heard Bankalay Thompson speak about your husband, and so many more speak about the influence that your husband made on them. And I did not get to know your husband, but I know you, and I love you, and may God bless you. We are going to get into our show tonight. So I have in the studio with me Clayton Savage and Vicki Dennis from the group called Spiritual Therapy. Say hello to Detroit.
Hey, Detroit.
Hello, Detroit.
And everybody else that's listening around the country. I'm so happy to have you in the studio tonight to talk about this. The first thing we're going to go into is the name, because spiritual wellness is so important to everyone. You know, it used to be medicinal things combined with spirituality, where people did that through prayer, whether it was through meditation or things of that nature. Now it has picked up a notch where music therapy is really becoming mainstream. There is a therapist that's in the same building I'm in at my office, and she's a music therapist, and she works at Children's Hospital. And she goes around, she's a trained classical pianist, but she has other instrumentation that she plays. And she goes around the hospital and she plays for the cancer patients and things of that nature. So when I heard spiritual therapy, I know a lot of thought had to go into that name. So how did you derive at the name spiritual therapy?
Well, I don't know if this was considered as a lot, but I was driving and talking to the Lord, and I said I wanted to do something to, if you will, ease the pain. And I know music is a universal language, and it also soothes the soul. It speaks to a lot of people in different genres or what have you. Music speaks to you, so therefore it somehow massages you. So with that massage, if you will, that's the therapy. And so with that, we're also bringing on a spiritual form. So therefore, there's the spiritual therapy of it.
Wonderful. And so Vicki is in the studio with us, and I know that she is a huge part of the group. So Vicki, what are the members' names of the group? and their positions. What do they do?
Okay, we have our core members. We have our songbird, Janetta Carr. She's actually a soprano and an alto lead vocalist. Myself, soprano lead. I actually wrote one of the songs on the CD. There's Joshua Davis, who is also alto and tenor. He also wrote a song for the CD. And then we have our core band members. We have Terrence Reed on keys. We have Ronald Stacy Hill, our drummer, and then Clayton Savage on bass.
Great. So, Clayton, tell me the moment that you thought about going into gospel music. Was that another spiritual epiphany for you? Because there were so many other genres that you could have picked. What made you decide to pick gospel?
Well, first and foremost, I grew up in church. My grandfather was a bishop, and he played lead guitar. My aunt played organ, and then we had a few evangelists and everything like that. And so therefore, there was nothing but, if you will, spiritual things going on. And I picked up the bass guitar, if you will, at a late age because I started playing the piano. And when I started to play the piano, I really wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. And then I got with the bass guitar, and I took that on at the age of 15. So I put the guitar down at the age of 19 to work and take care of family and what have you. And I promised the Lord, I said, I know you have something for me. So if you allow me to live long enough to actually come back to you, I will praise your name. And so I went through several groups playing for them, and I can see all the talent, but they weren't applying themselves. And I would always complain to the Lord, and he would tell me, I would hear his voice saying, you do it. And I would constantly say, no, I don't want to be the leader. I want to actually just sit in and just play. That's all. And the third time I asked him, I guess third time is the charm. The third time I asked him, Lord, I said, we can do better than this. He said, you do it. And then he told me what to do and how to do it and who to take with me. And from that point on, it's been spiritual therapy at its highest. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. I've had some revelations, but at 15, I can't say I had anyone except for when I drank too much, and I told him if I get my head out the toilet, I won't put it back in there no more. So praise the Lord for you and your direction about where you wanted to go at 15.
Right.
So, what would your dream collaboration be? Like you said, you picked up the bass guitar at 15, and you had a spiritual revelation or epiphany or whatever, and you grew up in the church. So growing up in the church, did you have anyone like a James Cleveland or anyone that you could say inspired you in the way that you play and the way that you write your music?
Well, in all honesty, no. If you knew the way our church praised, I mean, it was always high praise. The way we came in, and when I say high praise, the music was off the chain. My aunt complained.
What denomination?
It was called spiritual.
Okay,
spiritual.
Okay.
And they call it something else nowadays. I don't know what it is, but nonetheless, it was called spiritual. And matter of fact, the name of the church was God's Great Spiritual Kingdom on Earth in Us. And we always praised on high. I mean, I can't remember a Sunday we didn't go in there that it wasn't hype. You know, you could be at your lowest moment, and when you walked in that church, and my grandfather would say simple things such as all is one. The great God that we serve has made us all one. And it's the way he said and the way he presented it, it seemed like your burdens was lifted and there was no more room for any form of hardship or burdens. What you leave that outside the door. We're here to praise the Lord. And it was just good times all the time. So that was my inspiration.
You know, being on one accord is key. And on the eve of Election Day, if we could, you know, maybe not on Election Day, of course, people are going to have a candidate that they want to support. But then after that, if we could get on one accord, what a beautiful place this would be.
That's
in
right.
any and every community.
That's right.
It breaks my heart to see the division that's going on in my hometown of Inkster, Michigan right now. But I'm hoping that tomorrow people use their voice to vote,
Right.
because your vote is your voice. And then on Wednesday, we can become on one accord
That's
and
right.
moving forward.
right.
And that's just what I say about my hometown that I love.
Right.
Right. But I wish it for all over the world.
Right, right.
So being on one accord is cool. So based on what you told me, you really didn't have a lot of influence. It was just your calling. You moved along with the will of God for your life,
Right.
and you kept going. So in that regard, then, are there any collaborations? Like if you could collaborate with someone that's already in the industry, who would that be?
Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin right off the bat. Because, you know, I know we're talking about church and talking about God, whatever, but it's God is the essence of this whole thing. I remove myself from church per se and religion per se, because man has made religion, and then that's the reason why you have so much discord, because everybody believes that their way is right. And if how can you be right if we all reading the same Bible when the word said there's no man's perfect? So whatever you made up just might not be perfect. So the thing is, we all have to come together as one. And the only way, like you was talking about the voting, the only way we can come together as one, be united, is we think of others first and not ourselves. Because that's the only way. If you're constantly thinking about me, then there never will be a compromise. Never. So therefore, if you think of others first, put the other man first, then I guarantee you, if that man is actually putting somebody else first, everybody's got each other's back.
You know, it's interesting that you said Kirk Franklin, because I was at an event where you played at, and I heard that blend of secular music. I believe it was a Frankie Beverly and Mays song.
Right.
And so I started like, hey, I was all into
Right,
it. And then
right.
you bust with God, and I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm up here grooving to a church song. What just happened? So it was cool, though. I didn't have any drinks, so I was
Right.
still sober.
Right.
But that made me think to ask you about Kirk Franklin, because Kirk Franklin then kind of paved the way in essence for you, because he took a lot of heat
did.
for the blend of secular music that he mixed with gospel music like
Stomp. That's right.
And you know, I was just thinking at the club when they would put that song on, like, should I really be grooving like this, or should I do the church shuffle? Like, I don't know what to do. Like,
Right.
this song is on, it's a church song. Should
Right.
what's going on? So for you to say you would collaborate with him speaks volumes to why you're moving in the direction you're moving with your music, and that blend of secular music with gospel music. And I do believe that that type of collaboration is needed, and not between you two. I hope that happens for you, but the blend of those two genres together,
That's right.
because if we're talking about saving lives,
That's right.
then we have to create something that is going to call the lost to Christ.
That's
And
right.
the church is not it.
That's
That's
right.
where you
That's
get
right.
ostracized and embarrassed about being who you are. They say come as you are, but they don't really mean it.
That's
Starting
right.
with the ushers at the door.
Yeah.
You know, they got something to say. The church fan has a dual purpose: for hot flashes and to whisper behind you if you don't look right. You
Right,
look like
right.
you just got off the stripper pole coming into church. We should be praising and say, hallelujah, this person maybe decided to
Right.
give their life to Christ, or perhaps they thought about overdosing before they got
Mm-hmm.
here, and they need a little dose of spiritual therapy.
come on.
We would prefer to ostracize
Come on.
them and talk about what they are not.
That's right.
Instead of dipping into what they really are.
That's right.
And that's the reason why I feel some type of way about organized religion. I feel comfortable where I congregate with my pastor, because it is just what it is with him.
Right.
And he accepts me for who I am.
Right.
I've never been subjected to any of his criticism or things like that. So And I feel that the church is where you should be able to become spiritually naked. I should be able to
right.
show my raw emotions to
That's
you
right. That's right.
and whatever it is I'm feeling, but I cannot. That's the place where you get shunned the most because people don't know how to receive it.
Right.
So let's get into a little bit of a break here, and we're going to go into one of Spiritual Therapy songs so I can get off my church ragging, because I see Ramey, hey Ramey, and Gloria and Owen on here, and you know how I feel about the church ostracizing people, so I'll start going off in a minute. So we're just going to go for a break, and let's listen to a little bit of Spiritual Therapy, and we will be back.
Of the heart and mind, trusting, caring, trotting blind, torn and confused. My heart was in despair when I reached a hold of love. Real love was never there. The spears they came from all around. I lost hope, lost my dreams. I was nowhere to be found. My body was abused. I was left an empty shell. But Jesus came and redeemed me and made me whole again. Love is patient, compassionate and true.
With arms open wide, God's there to love you.
Love is patient, withstands the test of time.
With arms open wide, God's there to love you.
His love fills spaces sin tried to destroy. As he drew me closer to his word and his joy, the comfort I feel now is beyond compare. I know in all my burdens, the Lord is always there. He never left me, his love I can feel. He said, no, I am God, now you be still. He molded, he shaped me, he formed my brand new life. No pain or sorrow, no misery or strife.
Love is patient, compassionate and true. With arms open wide, God's there to love you.
Love is patient, withstands the test of time.
With arms open wide, God's there to love you.
The gift that surpasses all understanding. Now my life has become more sustaining as I come to know him more and more each day. I get an overflowing blessing from the heavens above, because love is patient, compassionate and true.
Withstands the test of time, God's there to love you. With arms open wide, with arms open wide, with arms open wide, with arms open wide, with arms open wide.
So we are back, and we are back with Clayton Savage and Vicki Dennis of Spiritual Therapy. And we just listened to Arms Open Wide. So, Vicki, how did that song come about?
Well, I faced a few trials in my life, and one specifically was a divorce that I had gone through. And it was as I was exiting an abusive marriage.
Oh, my.
And after I was able to get away, I actually started just writing poems. So that's what that song was at first. And I talked to one of my friends about it, and he said, you should put some music behind that. So we did that, made up the melody, and then I put it on a wall, and I prayed over it until it got recorded. So I presented it to Clayton, and he enjoyed the version of it, and then took it and ran with it and said, we're going to put this on the CD. So
That
great
is
blessing.
awesome. First of all, I salute you and congratulate you from breaking that cycle of abuse that you were in. May God continue to bless you with his grace and peace and comfort you. That is huge. And it also goes to show how therapeutic music really is, even from you, Vicki, as a writer, and then you laying the melody and down for the track. It was therapeutic. It helped heal you.
Yes.
And the story behind that will help to heal others.
That's right.
From their abuse. So I love that. How did the title of this CD come about?
God's testimony. Actually, there were some ladies pressing me that used to come to our outings, events, concerts, whatever. And Elena Toddy and Sharon Appling, Reverend Sharon Appling, used to press me on doing a CD. And I was like, I'm not concerned about that.
So you were just playing and grooving.
That's it.
huh?
That's
You
it.
wasn't
I
trying
wasn't
to
worried. No, I'm recording. Well, wasn't my thing. Just like I didn't want to be a leader of a group. I didn't want to do that. And they pressed me so hard with it. I said, okay, we're going to do it. And I started thinking about, once again, I'm talking to the Lord. What should I do with this and that? And as I'm thinking about the things that went through the Bible from Abraham, not from Adam, but from Abraham all the way down to Jesus. As I thought about those things that happened in the rise and fall of man, I said, well, that's actually God's testimony. Those type of things, or those people that he put into place, and the success of some and the failures of others. And I said, and that's the reason why Jesus had to end up coming in and actually being the Lamb of God. There was nothing else to slaughter after him. So with that being said, that was God's testimony. So that's how the CD came, or the title of the CD came about, because it's these things like Arms Open Wide. It's God's testimony because she's God's child. So therefore, the things that she went through, and he delivered her from it, that's God's testimony.
Great. And I'm grateful for that deliverance. And you said that your bout with domestic violence was your inspiration behind the song. There are other songs on the CD, though. So can you talk a little bit about some of the inspiration behind any of the other tracks? Did you write any others, Vicki?
I did not. Josh Davis wrote one of the songs. Clayton wrote songs as well. And actually, there was another person that Clayton was in relationship with who left a song specifically for Clayton to produce on his deathbed.
Wow.
So that one really has a testimony there. Here I am again.
Right.
Because that's what we do. We go to the Lord, and it could be the same situation that we keep going to the Lord about. And we often say, here I am again, Lord.
You're right.
Can help me with this. Give me comfort in this. Here I am again.
Well, as a matter of fact, this gentleman's name was Herb McToyer. And like Vicki was saying, he as I would go to see him in the hospital or what have you, he said, Clayton, I don't have long. And he said, I want you to hear this song, something I wrote. And he says, more so a folk song. He said, but I love what spiritual therapy do and how they transpose music. He said, take this and do what spiritual therapy do. He said, you don't copy me at all. He said, do what spiritual therapy do. So here I am again. That's how that came about. And basically, if you will, the irony of that is when you're on your deathbed, you're actually saying, here I am again, because as far as what we know of, we're going to see Jesus. If you have confessed and did things, those things, you haven't been perfect, and who's perfect? But as long as you're faithful, that's the key. Being perfect, that's out of the way. Just throw that away. There's no man perfect. But Herb did that, and when he gave that to us, whatever his name, it turned out to be a real nice song.
I agree that honoring someone's wishes is the greatest honor that you could ever do. And for him to present that song to you on his deathbed and
Yes,
you made that come to fruition, that's really cool. What a great way to honor someone and continue that legacy. Right. What is the biggest misconception about gospel music? For me, and I can start off, it's almost that faith without works thing.
Okay.
You can listen to a song all day long and it could lift your spirits. And I always say, when I listen to the beat, I'm in a good mood, I'm listening to the beat.
Right.
But then when I hit a point where I'm solemn, I listen to the lyrics, and sometimes it's like, damn, that's what that was saying,
Right,
or whatever.
right.
It sends a whole different perspective on that song again. And so there are a lot of misconceptions about music. And I'm not talking about the industry with this question, just gospel music. Are there any misconceptions that you think of?
I can't think of any misconception. I mean, if you will, when you're talking about gospel or the genre of gospel, you can say the misconception is that people put it into a religious form. There we go with that again. Okay, and instead of actually listening to that God has given us all gifts, and we express ourselves the way that we can, the way He gave us these gifts. Instead of that, they actually take and they put it in a box and say, well, that's religion. And it's just like you were saying, when you heard some of our music and everything, I mean, you're grooving and what have you. Guess what? We were made in His likeness. So guess what? I can imagine God grooving to some things too. Come on now. Come on now. See, so the bottom line is don't put God in this box. Don't put gospel music in this box. Why don't you just max and relax and just enjoy what's coming to you? That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm glad that that particular question segued into that, because that's what I think. Organized religion and churches have changed so much that there's this huge stigma that goes with it.
Right.
And spirituality is way different than those other two things.
That's right.
Right?
That's
And
right.
so I'm glad you explained that so that your music can be out of the box. Kirk Franklin's groove took that out
That's
of
right.
the box, and
Absolutely.
that's why people were so against it. But I believe that religion and organized religion and churches are seeming to open up, because you have praise dancing.
That's right.
And all of these other things now that are allowed. I don't know if it was like, hey, let the kids dance because the tide's getting low. But I know
That was
they started
some of that too.
Yeah, they start letting a little bit more of the world
Right.
inside.
Absolutely.
Because
Right.
sometimes it's not just about saving souls to some people, and we
Right.
know that,
Right.
right? So we just have to be
Well,
transparent.
and how
with
can you
it.
save a soul if you can't reach it?
That's true. That
You
that's true.
have to find a way to reach out to someone in order to, if you will, talk the same language and actually look like them to a certain degree, for them to actually say, okay, there's a welcome mat. Because without that, you look like somebody that's intimidating, and they don't want to infringe upon what it is that you got, and they don't want to give you what they have because they feel what they have is not adequate enough. When really, to tell you the truth about it, what they have actually just might not only enhance what you have, but actually cause what you have to be bigger and better than what you ever thought it could be.
Well, then that's great because it does become territorial too.
Yep.
Don't. I've been in situations at a church where, of course, some people sit in the same seat every Sunday, and that's
Right.
cool.
Right.
But I've seen where a visitor has come in, and it's like, oh, hi, welcome to Calvary Baptist. But you're in my seat,
Right.
and I'm going to need you to
Right.
scooch on down.
Right.
Whatever. What kind of Christianity is that? Or what's going on with that? Or if you're not dressed right, you can get a sheet or one of the sheets you get with the lace on it when you
Right,
supposedly fall out,
Right.
which I've never done. But you're gonna get one of those because you dress a little bit too short or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Leave people alone. That's what intercessory prayer is for. Because see, if you come at me, and I've heard someone say, well, if you can't take correction, you will never grow. That's not true.
Right.
Because I can take correction, but you better come correctly trying
That's
to
it.
correct me, or you're going to get corrected.
That's
and
word.
Just know.
A lot of people don't know
that.
that's word. You actually, matter of fact, it's in Luke where he actually asked, "Is it better for you to offend someone by trying to correct them, or is it better to love them in the correction?"
Do it through
And see, so if you do it in the proper way,
and then it will
Guess
be
what?
received.
Yeah,
And
that's
you know
right.
what? If you do it in a proper way and you do it with love, people can feel that
That's
from
right.
the heart, and then they're more accepting of what you're doing. Don't come trying to tell. That's what intercessory prayer is for, and you will be using it when I get done cursing you out because I ain't all the way there. I ride the edge.
Right.
So pray for me because I don't feel like, oh, well, that's Mother such and such or Bishop such and such. No, you are going to respect me if you want respect.
right. That's right. That's right.
You're
That's
going to respect me.
Right.
And there's no big eyes or no little use. You don't know it all. You might know a lot more in the Bible because you've read it, but you can't be more scholarly than
Right.
me. I'm educated.
Right. Well, see,
You know,
there's
so-
a difference between reading the Bible and practicing it.
Well, what about the missing books? We'll have to have a separate show
Okay,
on that.
okay.
All the Bible is not there because,
Right,
and
that's
I'm going
true.
to say this and move on, but, if you look at slavery, so you beat me, you raped my wife and got her pregnant, but you praying to the same God about giving you more slaves, but then on Sunday you give me this book and we all praying to the same God. Something's wrong with
Right,
that to me, but
absolutely.
that's not what this is about. But I had to say that,
I got
right?
you. I got you.
So
Until next time.
and who interpreted that?
Right.
And where did Matthew, Mark, and Luke and John come from if the
Right.
Bible is written over in where it was written, and you got Hezekiah and all of these other names, and you just come up with damn Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, westernized names out of the blue? Come on now.
Right. Well, there's something to that. I can answer some of the questions, but until another day.
Yeah.
Another day.
That's right, because I don't want you to need spiritual therapy.
Absolutely.
Messing around with me in that Bible.
Absolutely. Right.
We are going to get back focused. However, coming outside of the box with your music, I love it. Because you will reach so many different people than the traditional gospel music would ever reach. I think we need, just like we have different sectors of religion.
Right.
You have Catholic, apostolic,
Right.
and Baptist, and all of this,
Church and
We
God
could
in
go
Christ,
on.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
because it was different ways to worship.
Right.
Right? Different interpretations of that word.
Right.
Or division that we just couldn't be on one accord, but I don't want to go there either.
Right.
That's a podcast. I have
Right.
to invite you there.
Okay.
But there are different types of music that appeal to other people as well. A different way that someone preaches may appeal to someone
right.
else.
That's right.
So I appreciate the music that spiritual therapy puts out. What is the goal? What is spiritual therapy's goal?
Well, I'll give you our mission, okay? Our mission is to uplift God's souls and spirits through music and song, okay? And to develop heavenly sounds to procure a distinct professional aura. and to bring joy to those who are sick and shut in and unable to share monetary gifts. So if we can reach those brokenhearted, if we can reach those that are ailing, if we can reach those sin-sick souls, that is the goal. And with every performance that we've done, when you look out and you see the emotion, when you see the hand clapping, when you see the praise, and even when you see the tears, okay, you know that you are giving some spiritual therapy.
Absolutely.
So we praise God
Well,
for.
to add on to that, this this last concert that we had, October the 20th, we started a new something, which is to like a Uber or whatever his name. We're going to actually expand with that, whatever his name. But we actually picked up some elderly women, and we paid for their tickets for them to be there in the audience. And you should have saw the glee. They were
Oh man, I
uplifted.
hate I couldn't be there.
yeah.
I definitely
Yeah,
wanted
they
to
loved
be
it.
there.
They loved it and they enjoyed it. And then the guy, the Uber driver, we know him, so he came back with a report. He said they talked about the concert all the way home. As a matter of fact, my mother-in-law, she's 97 years old, and she hasn't been able. I mean, she gets around good, whatever, but she hasn't been able to sleep. After that concert, she slept like a baby.
All right.
Praise God. That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
That's what I'm
good.
talking about. Absolutely.
You know, it's very relaxing or whatever. And
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you gifted people. I'm so sorry that I did not get a chance to attend that event. Do you have any events upcoming?
Well, we, as a matter of fact, you could tell her about it.
Absolutely.
Vicky?
Yes, we're going to be at Hope United Methodist Church in Southfield on December 31st at 8 p.m. for their watch night service.
Oh, okay.
You know, we bringing something different there as well, because this pastor likes to mix it up as well. His name is Kevin Smalls.
Okay.
And he's on the younger side, relatively speaking, when you're talking about pastors, where people would normally image or have an image of a pastor. But nonetheless, he likes to mix it up. He likes to inspire and what have his name. He's not stuck in that box, as we were talking about, what have his name. So if you guys can come out, anybody that's out there listening, come on out and enjoy yourself. Come on now, let's pack the place up
Yeah, if you
and
want
let's
a
have
little
some fun.
spiritual therapy
Absolutely.
on watch night, those of you who won't be out doing the boogaloo,
And let them boogaloo with us. Absolutely.
you can come and do the spiritual boogaloo.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right.
Get your
So-
praise on. Get your praise on.
Yeah, get your praise on however you wish to do so, but I think that's cool. And I know I was inspired when I heard you. That's why I wanted to have you on today. The music was so uplifting and different, motivating. I felt empowered. And I just felt really good afterwards, the praise and worship. But then what I liked was the inclusiveness. You diversified your genre by bringing in, I heard a little bit of jazz in there. I heard a little bit of R&B and that genre in there. But the inclusiveness, because each and every member of your group can lead a song.
Right.
And they each had the opportunity to come out and showcase their vocals
Right.
and what they could do. And I can feel the movement and the energy from inside of them doing that. And I know that you rehearsed before you came out, but what I saw was not rehearsed.
Okay.
What I saw was a movement.
Right.
What I
Right.
saw was energy that was compelling
That's
and
it.
driving everybody else that was in the audience to get them on one accord, whatever that accord was.
Right.
Because you didn't even have to really believe in God to be moved
Right.
by the energy that was
Absolutely.
in the room, because everybody doesn't, and that's cool.
That's right.
Right?
right.
That's what I liked about it too.
That's right.
That you weren't just beating in the head, beating in someone's head as if you were coercing them to try
Right.
to, this music is going to make you do
Right.
this or that. Are you going to hell if you don't do
Right,
this or
absolutely.
that?
That's
It was
right.
just like, hey, it took me to a place of solitude where whatever I believe in, I could go there
Right.
and be in grace and peace.
Right.
And that's how I felt from the music. So speaking of the music, we are going to go to another track right now, and we will be right back.
In part, this life is filled with pleasure.
This same old life will make you question, what am I doing wrong? Can't seem to handle the cards I'm dealt. Praying let these nights pass. Lord, take these fears from me. My world is spinning around and around. Where would I be when I come down? So many times I make mistakes, a trend I wish could go away. But since he heard my plea, I can say I am forgiven, yeah.
I am forgiven.
I have been set free.
Yes, I have been set free.
Now I can live in peace.
Now I can live in peace. 'Cause I am forgiven.
Oh, I took the course, mistreating others by setting snares to pave my own way. My desires took life for granted while hopes and dreams faded away. So many times I made mistakes, a trend I wish could go away. But since he heard my plea, I can say I am forgiven.
I am forgiven.
Yes, I have been set free.
Yes, I have been set free.
Now I can live sin free.
Now I can live sin free. 'Cause I am forgiven.
Oh, I won't question,
Never,
no, never,
never.
his holy will for my life. Even though I may have doubts, I know I am forgiven.
I am forgiven.
I have been set free.
Yes, I have been set free.
Now I can live sin free.
Now I can live sin free. 'Cause I am forgiven.
Oh, I am forgiven.
I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven.
So glad the Lord forgave me.
Yes, I am forgiven.
So glad He forgave me.
Yes, I am
Yes,
forgiven.
say I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven.
So glad He gave me a second chance.
I am forgiven.
Anybody glad to have a second chance?
I am forgiven.
Said I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven.
Yes, I am forgiven. Yes, yes, I am forgiven.
I am forgiven.
So glad He gave me a second chance.
I am forgiven.
Hey, now I can live sin free.
I can listen.
Okay, you have been listening to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, and that track was called I Am Forgiven by Spiritual Therapy. I believe that name sort of speaks for itself. For me, I know that I am, and I know that I've been set free, and I have the free will over my life. I see some characteristics of God within me. I think we all should, right? A lot of people say to me like, oh, well, you have prophecy in this. I don't get into any of that because I don't believe in it.
Right.
But I believe if you can say something to someone that uplifts their spirits, that helps them, and they receive confirmation for that, more power to them. That is great. That's what it's about. Each one reach one. I believe no matter what religion you are, whether it's Catholic, as we said before, Kojic, whatever it is, if you read the Quran, which I've read them all, you know, I've read the Quran also and all of that. And the conclusion that I've come to is the basic premise is love.
That's right.
If we just love everybody, we would be okay. Because the basic premise of all of it is love.
Right.
You know, treat people the way you want to be treated and all of that. But it's just love. So what was the inspiration behind I Am Forgiven?
Well, see, that was Joshua Davis's song, and basically, if you or when you listen to the that particular track, he was talking about how he had set snares, traps, did different things to manipulate people to get his own way. And at one point in time, things seems to be great and grand, and then other times his world is topsy-turvy, whatever it's not, and it's because he didn't have, if you will, like you said, for yourself, you know who you are and you know what you're about, and so therefore you're free. And with that being said, he's saying that he's free because he know he's been forgiven for the things he has done, because now he goes out to help out mankind instead of hurting mankind. See, so that's the whole thing. I am forgiven.
Was he a pimp or something?
No, no. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something.
Hey, make me think he a pimp.
No,
What's this
really,
guy?
no. Just a young. He's actually real young. He's real young. It's just you know how you could be selfish.
Yes,
you
I
know,
understand
and that's basically what it is. But you know, in all honesty, when he wrote it, and I actually co-wrote it because there was things I did and did the arrangements and everything. But my point is that when I read it, I got the same thing out of it that you just said. I said,
Yeah, like he sounds
I said,
like
he's too
he a
young to actually be a pimp. He ain't been. And his dad ain't go for anything like that. You know. So, but knowing Josh, the way that he is, a real kind person, but he can get in his own little selfish ways, and it is all right, absolutely. And he did his due and whatever's that. So now he's realizing that those ways is not going to help out at all. So therefore, he know the Lord has forgiven him, and he's going to take advantage of it by helping others out.
That's cool, because we all have some type of testimony. You know, I really, this may sound strange, but I don't really like for people to, and I have a lot of people that look up to me.
Okay.
Like I have a lot of mentees and people that call me mom and stuff like that. That's a heavy burden for me to carry, because I just want to be me.
Right.
I don't want to have to worry about who's watching me and who's looking up to me per se.
Right.
I'm just living my best life and being who I am and being transparent with who I am, and not caring if you like, understand, or agree with anything I say or do. I just demand respect, period, or I will disrespect you.
Right.
And that's just how I live, but people love that.
Right.
You know, I guess because I'm real. I have a lot of babies and I love them, but I want them to be real too. And when I mess up, I don't try to hide it.
Right.
You know, like I messed up. I'm not perfect.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but this gives you an example of what not to do if you don't agree with what it is that I'm doing. But I'm just who I am, and I want to be transparent with that. And whether people accept me or not, that's up to them. But when we get back to the topic of music that we're on, why do you think gospel music is not as accepted as it could be or should be? You know, in that particular genre, out of all of them, it seemed like your phone should be ringing off the hook, and someone should be kicking your door in, like, oh, you want to get the word of God out, you want to get this message out, or whatever. This brother right here in Detroit doing his thing, how can we embrace them or whatever? You know, you should have been so booked up, I couldn't even get you here because you were flying off to Israel somewhere or whatever. But it seems that we just cannot get the support we need, especially in this industry, for you. Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, let's say it this way. And this is not all churches now. I mean, because I've actually dealt with a few that actually is open-minded and that's loving. But there's a lot of churches that has nothing but hypocrisy. The thing is, when you actually turn around and you
Did
say,
you say that?
Yeah, I said it, and I'll say it again. Hypocrisy that lives in the church.
That's cracking me
Okay.
up. Look,
What-
Sophia home now. Sophia home.
Right. But I mean, and that's the way it is. I mean, you go and you they could go out and buy the most expensive thing that there is. As a matter of fact, I'll say this: a Stevie Wonder concert come up, Patti LaBelle concert come up. They'll go spend $100 to sit in the nosebleed seat. However, if you go, somebody on a smaller scale come and say they ask me for $20, $30, then they hit the roof, or either they got this and that and so on and so forth. I can't do that. I don't have enough money. It's because they haven't actually reached into themselves to say, I'm supposed to be supportive. I'm supposed to help out others as others has helped me out. And a lot of people don't realize how much they have been helped out. They don't realize
Say
it.
that.
Okay.
You know, because keep that same energy that you asked me to borrow $20 with. Keep that same energy when it's time to pay back.
That's it.
You know what
That's
I'm
it.
saying?
That's it.
And that does not happen.
Right.
You know,
That's right.
We seem to, because I've never been in line at Walmart, and this holiday season is coming up. This is what cracks me up on Thanksgiving Day. People sit up there, oh Lord, I'm thankful for my life, and I'm thankful for everything I have. Then they get their ass up and go to Black Friday. I thought you was just thankful for everything that you had, and now you at Black Friday, elbowing and getting ran over by shopping carts
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
So, you know, our memory is this long
Right.
when it comes to helping and collaboration and loving and supporting one another. It just doesn't work. But, you know, I have been blessed. I have a true support system, especially with Dr. Beaumont that's on here right now. My family, I've been really supported. Owen, you know, that's a blessing.
Right,
Because,
right.
see, I recognize snakes when I see them.
Right,
Right?
right.
And I've never seen a snake chase a person. You got to get close to that snake for it to strike you.
That's right.
And that's what I don't do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And, you know, they'll apologize, but a snake will also shed its skin, but it's still a snake.
That's
So
right.
after you apologize, your forgiveness is not going to put you close enough to me to ever strike again. Because
That's
that'll
right.
be like the Emperor Strikes Back, because I
Right.
hit and
Right,
everything,
right.
right? So
Right.
it's like, get on with that. I love you or whatever, but I need you to stay a distance from me. And that brings me to another thing. Sometimes people expect more than what they're willing to give.
Well,
Right.
then-
And sometimes we set ourselves up for that.
Right.
You know, but sometimes people expect more than what they're willing to give. And that's a problem.
Right. Right.
That is a big
is.
problem. So, as we prepare to close, because we're getting to that moment, I heard a little bit of outreach coming out of you in that last segment about reaching out to the seniors and stuff like that. So, what type of outreach does spiritual therapy do?
Well, first, we're an advocacy group working with other advocacy groups, with the different nursing homes, with the Zonta Club of Metro Detroit, the Mothers Group, Sisters Network. You know, we want to be in front of or intermingling also with domestic violence groups, shelters, you know, places where people don't necessarily have the opportunity to be able to attend a concert because they can't afford it or can't make it to a particular venue. We can go to them and
That's
uplift
really
those
cool.
broken hearts. So that's what we want to do.
Awesome. Well, I'm hoping that you can collaborate with Black Coffee and maybe we
Absolutely.
can put on some type of event and let people hear a little bit of
Absolutely.
spiritual therapy, but you don't have to wait until then. You can download the CD on iTunes. I think it will be worth your while. You are contributing to a wonderful cause because I will say they are very generous. And if they're called, they will make a way to come. And that came from Clayton. telling me that. And so to go to the nursing home, that's a wonderful ministry because they cannot get out. And I remember when my grandmother was alive and I would go visit her at the nursing home, it would take me maybe 10 or 15 minutes before I would get up to her unit and I would have food and everything for her. But some of those people were so lonely because they weren't getting visitors. And I'm there at my grandmother's house all the time. They would stop and just talk and talk and talk to me. And I felt compelled to conversate with them because I felt so bad, you know, and I envisioned myself sitting there. I didn't bring any children into the world. I could be someone sitting in that chair. I hope I die before that time. But if I don't, I could be sitting there wishing that someone would come and see me.
That's right. That's right.
To speak to that, I found over the years that they call those people that don't have the visitors to come and see them, that don't have family to come and see them, they call them throwaways.
They're
in
not
the nursing
throwaways.
homes. That's what they say.
That is so horrible for them to say.
It is.
Well, as we prepare to close, I want to thank you, Clayton and Vicki, for coming today and sharing what spiritual therapy is about.
It's our pleasure.
And I really, really hope you will come back again.
Absolutely.
Yes, for
And
sure.
I think we can have a deeper conversation and go a little bit deeper into some of the things that I swept under the rug today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We can pull the rug back and look at it. I have a lot of conversations with my biological father, who is a pastor, you know, and we go back and forth. So I like to have those type of conversations because I think it is very helpful to strengthen. Maybe I changed my mind about some things at the, I won't say the argument, the discussion, because I will not argue religion. It is what it is. I'm going to believe what I believe, and I don't think anyone should argue it. But it's nothing wrong with agreeing to disagree after having a heartfelt conversation. I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And you have been listening to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. And on this show, I don't try to spill the tea or make you feel dazed like you had a shot of cheap liquor. I just want you to see things from a different perspective. Mine. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. And we're out of here.
In part, we share God's testimony, for we are the pieces of this puzzle called life. Herb McTwire, this songwriter, was no different from us all who walked the journey of Christianity. There were ups and downs, ins and outs, back and forth. Hence, therefore, here I am again.
Black coffee, baby.